Hey guys, I'm Catherine Blanche and today I'm going to be reviewing Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So what inspired me to pick up this book as my next read? I had seen people talking about it online, but originally I had walked into Barnes & Noble looking to read Girls of Paper and Fire, and they were actually out of stock. And so I was skimming the shelves looking for books that I had heard a lot of people talking about, a lot of people enjoying, and I came across Six of Crows. It's actually the first book that I read in Bardugo's Grisha verse. So I haven't read her other books. This is the first one that I read. And sort of my goal for this year has been to read more new books by authors that I haven't read before. So I decided that I would pick this one up and give it a try. And I really like the cover. You can see it's right up there. I kind of like how it's got this like dark, sort of mysterious vibe to it, but I feel like I don't get too much information about it. It makes me want to pick it up. Inside the book, they've got this sort of like pre-cover page that's got this really awesome artwork on it. Let's see if we can get it without the glare. There you go. Which is like the crow's sort of symbol. It's a really eye-catching book. I also wanted to read something that was darker and grittier. What this story is about is a heist, and you've got this group of criminals who are part of this gang called the Crows, and they've been contracted to go and retrieve a prisoner from a super secure prison in another country. Kaz is sort of the mastermind behind the operation. He's getting this group together and preparing everything that they need to pull this heist off successfully. But this heist is essentially a suicide mission because no one's ever pulled this off before. It's got like the most advanced security of pretty much anywhere else in this world that I've read. And it seems like it's pretty much this impossible task. So why would the characters be doing this? It's because they're going to be paid extremely well, and all of them are really sort of desperate for this money for a whole variety of different reasons. This is also about creating change in their lives if they're able to complete this job successfully. So I was hooked pretty quickly. Not necessarily the first scene. At that point I still kind of felt like I didn't know what was going on. But by the rooftop scene I was totally hooked. At that point I was already getting attached to Anij, which I think is how you pronounce her name. I don't know. I should probably look and see if there's a pronunciation guide, huh? There's something about her that feels really sort of like she's been drawn into this world, but she's got this really good heart. So even though she's doing all this criminal activity, it feels like it's more like survival. And, but that truly, like, she's this very deeply caring person. So really quickly in like the first chapter or two with her, I felt really drawn to her character. But there's a whole lot of characters in this, and so it's kind of hard to say who's the protagonist. Traditionally, the protagonist is the character who changes the most, who has really the most dramatic character arc in a book. I'm sort of torn in this story because there are so many characters that go through such a dramatic internal journey on their own that it's kind of hard for me to say which one would really be the protagonist, although I'm inclined to believe that it would either be Matthias or it would be Kaz. But sort of the downside to having so many characters that you're following and so many stories is that it really slowed down the pacing at times. There's this section in the middle where they're sort of, it's like in between, you know, they're traveling from one place to another. And the author is using this to sort of give a little bit more background on the characters. So there's a lot of flashbacks from a lot of different characters. So it's sort of like flashback, flashback, flashback over and over again. Throughout this whole section of the book, but there was just so much of this sort of deviation from the main plot that I was sort of turned off as a reader, and I was kind of like, I was invested enough to read the book, but I was starting to think that I wasn't going to continue reading the series if this was kind of how the rest of the book carried on. Analyzing this from like a perspective of writing, this is a really useful tool because it allows you to develop this connection to her characters because you now understand their history and their struggles and what sort of brought them all together here in this moment. So you do get a deeper emotional attachment to the characters from this, but I almost just wish it had been broken up a little bit more, that there had been some sort of action going on in this section of the book, because it's like everything was going so fast and then suddenly, okay, let's slow down and tell history now. Okay, history's over, we're gonna pick it up again. And then when they're actually there doing the heist itself, having all these perspective was actually very useful to be able to see what's going on in different locations at different times. So even though it's such a short period of time that stuff's happening, you're getting so many perspectives that you get a better picture of what's actually happening. And you're getting a better idea of how each of these people work under stress now because of their backstories. Now, I've got to say, this story is so full of twists and turns, and I just absolutely loved that. I didn't really know what was going to happen by the end of the book, and so the whole time I was on my toes, and I love it. You know, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do, but in this case I did, because there's just this excitement factor of like, oh no, are they going to make it out? Are they going to escape? Are they going to do all this? Or is it all going to fail and unravel? This really kind of kept me going all the way until the end. As soon as you thought you knew what was going on, then there was something else that was added as, oh wait, no, there's more, you know? So I just thought that was brilliant. And I really like also how she incorporated so many different diverse characters. And it's sort of, for people who haven't read her books, she creates these worlds that are sort of fictional versions of locations that we can kind of identify. But not only are they from different locations, but they're from very different backgrounds. So no matter what their background was, whether it was military, whether they were civilian, whether they were captured and brought there against their will, or whether they willingly moved to the city to begin with, it was all kind of just very interesting to see how these different dynamics of these characters pulled together in this group for this same cause. Each of them has a different skill that's very necessary for this adventure. There's some characters that are very cool and stone-hearted, and they don't really develop attachment to other characters, but then you have other characters that feel really deeply. But the way that all of these different elements weave together into this plot makes me think that Bardugo is every bit as cunning as Kaz. And the end was very surprising. It was very shocking. I'm not going to say anything about what happened at the end of the book, but it was definitely another twist that I did not see coming at all. So now I'm really invested and I really want to know what happens next, especially because I've learned so much about these characters that I've become emotionally attached to them and I want to see what happens. So overall, I really did enjoy this book. I would give it 4 stars out of 5. And I am definitely looking forward to reading the next book, and I would recommend it to anybody, especially people who like darker fantasy, who like sort of fantasy plots that don't incorporate as much magic maybe. And I think that this is a kind of a diverse book, like that could speak to a lot of different people. So I could even see people who are more into like crime thriller books reading this one. Alright guys, so be sure to check out Six of Crows if you've not already read it. If you have read it, let me know what you think. Did you like this bouncing back and forth between the perspectives? Did you not? Did you totally disagree with what I had said about it slowing the pace down? Let me know in the comments. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great week. Bye.